It started fast. Mickey shoved Coase hard in the chest, sending the anarchist stumbling backward into a table. Liz screamed. Punters scattered as chairs tipped and drinks flew. Cozy was up in a flash, fists raised, but Mickey was already on him, swinging wild and hard. The first punch connected with a crack. Cozy's lips split open, and the blood brought the crowd to a frenzy. Caleb pushed his way forward, arms up.
Oi, enough. You'll bring the roof down, you mugs.
But it was too late. Tommy emerged from the gloom like a thundercloud, grabbing Mickey's arm, but not to stop him, to throw him back into the fight with added momentum. Coase vanished under a hail of fists and boots. Someone smashed a bottle. Chairs broke. Screams rose. In seconds, the rat pit was forgotten. The ring was now the crowd. Harry elbowed his way into the chaos, trying to pull bodies apart.
Leave it out, you lot! You're like a bunch of bloody bairns!
From above, Macca watched it unfold with a slow, wicked grin. He quickly descended the steps and saw Barney about to get involved, but turned to him and said,
"You're better off staying on the door. Check the takings, don't walk out with the crowd."
Barney nodded, already guarding the cash tin like it was the crown jewels. Macca entered the fray. The mass brawl swallowed everyone. Toby had already clocked the situation and, seeing his bottle had gone flat, slipped out the side. He didn't look back. Dan wasn't so lucky. One of the punters he'd dipped spotted his own wallet and cracked him with a bottle. The boy went down in a heap. 2 more descended on him, and then a third. But before they could lay into him proper, Ivan erupted. He hit hard and fast. He threw one man across a table, another into a wall. A fourth swung at him and got a mouthful of knuckle. Ivan didn't care who he hit. Anyone in his path was fair game. Macca waded in then, fists flying. He grabbed Ivan by the collar and spun him, throwing a punch of his own that landed flush. But Ivan barely flinched. The 2 men clashed, grunting, spitting, fists flying, a true battle of bulls. Caleb, seeing Macca in trouble with Ivan, saw his opportunity and kicked Ivan hard on the back of the knee from behind. Macca landed a punch, but had little effect as Ivan turned to face Caleb. He was grinning, and it was a knowing grin, a smile that Caleb interpreted only too well. Ivan had done for Pharaoh, so now it was time for retribution. From the front, the door burst open.
Police! Clear a path.
Johnny Upright and the shunters forced their way in, truncheons raised, uniforms scattered into the melee. Shouts of "break it up" were lost in the din. Someone punched a copper. Another officer went down, but Johnny Upright pushed on, face bleeding, tie torn.
Get Ivan.
He barked, but Ivan was already slipping through the side exit, bloodied but grinning. Tommy wasn't far behind, melting into the fog as the fight began to sputter out under the force of police batons. At the kennels, Murph and Moorish came running, gasping for breath. Rosie stood arms folded, the dog still tethered behind her.
"Oh, I'll just stay here, shall I? And look after the fucking dog?"
But when she saw the shunters pile in, she didn't argue. She joined Murph, and the 3 escaped down the alley, vanishing into the maze of East End backstreets. Moorish wasn't fast enough. A boot caught his ankle. He went sprawling, hands on him, a knee in his back. He was nicked. Dan, too, dragged off half-conscious.
The alleys of Whitechapel were slick with filth and fog, lit only by the occasional flicker of a distant gas lamp. Murph and Rosie tore through them, the bull terrier tugging furiously at its leash, teeth bared, eyes wild. Rosie's breath came in gasps as she leaned against a soot-blackened wall, chest heaving. Behind them, footsteps echoed. Not many, just one, heavy, certain. A figure emerged from the mouth of a side alley, silhouetted in the murk. It was Ivan. He didn't break stride, just stood tall, chest rising and falling, that familiar calm etched into his face. Murph and Ivan locked eyes instantly. A pause. Recognition. History. Ivan's lip curled into a faint smile.
"You again,"
he said, voice smooth and quiet.
"You want second helping, little man?"
Rosie yanked at Murph's arm, the dog twisting between her legs, barking like mad.
"Leave it, Murph. Let's go. We have to. It's not worth it."
But Murph didn't move. He never backed down. Not from anyone. Not when he was a kid. Not on the docks. Not the night Bash got done in. And not now. With a roar, Murph lunged, head down, shoulders hunched, and slammed straight into Ivan's gut like a cannonball. The Russian wheezed, stumbled back, and hit the cobbles hard. Murph was on him in a flash, fists flying, rage uncoiled, a flurry of jabs and hammering blows. But Ivan wasn't just strong. He was built for this. He twisted powerful legs coiling and launched Murph off him with a vicious kick. As Murph rolled to his knees, Ivan was already upright, a glint of steel flashing in the gaslight. The butcher's knife, long, curved, wicked. Rosie screamed,
Murph, run, please.
but Murph only spat, eyes locked on Ivan's.
Spineless fucker, aren't you?
He ripped off his jacket, wound it tight around his forearm like a shield, and moved forward. Ivan grinned.
Let's dance then.
They collided again, grappling, slipping in the filth. Ivan slashed, but Murph twisted away, the blade grazing leather. Murph swung. A heavy punch cracked across Ivan's cheek, another to the ribs. But Ivan kept coming. Then, a flash. The knife sank deep into Murph's side. Murph let out a strangled yell and collapsed, gripping his wound. Blood bloomed dark through his shirt as he writhed on the cobbles. Rosie screamed, trying to reach him, but Ivan was on her in an instant, one meaty hand tangled in her hair. She kicked, clawed, but he dragged her backward, down the alley, disappearing into shadow. The bull terrier stayed behind, snarling, pacing, barking at the fading footsteps, then turned back and pressed itself beside Murph's fallen form, whining. The alley was silent again, but for the echo of Rosie's screams and the slow, ragged breath of a man bleeding into the gutter.
When the dust settled, the floor was a war zone of blood, glass, and bruised egos. Macca leaned against the bar, blood trickling from his nose. Caleb nursed a split lip, while Harry dabbed at a cut above his eyebrow with the corner of his handkerchief. Johnny upright stood at the center, hair askew, tunic ripped, breathing like a bellows.
Well,
He muttered, trying to straighten his collar and compose himself.
that was fun.
Macca chuckled, spitting blood into a broken tankard.
You should come down more often, Johnny. It's always a lively crowd.
Paddy had kept a low profile all night. He dipped, but only one that he knew was easy. When the fight broke out, he didn't swing a fist. He watched instead, eyes narrowed, body tense, heart pounding. He saw Mickey pile into Coase, saw the blood and the scramble, but what made his blood run cold wasn't the fight. It was the face. Mickey. He knew that face, that swagger. He'd swear that was one of the bastards who'd kicked 7 shades of shit out of little Alfie, left him broken and breathless behind the stables on Brady Street. And now, here he was, clawing his way toward the exit, alongside Tommy. That told Paddy everything he needed to know. He didn't fight, he followed. He wove through the chaos as if he was invisible. Out the side door, down the alley, kept to the shadows as Mickey and Tommy vanished into the warren of fog-bound streets. He didn't follow far, just far enough to clock where they were heading, just far enough to plan. When Paddy finally slipped back into the blind beggar backroom, dawn was just breaking, weak and miserable. Toby was already there, hunched in the corner. The fire was dead. The pub was silent. Paddy didn't speak at first. He just stood there, watching Toby slowly crumble in real time. Hollow-eyed, breath shallow, one hand shaking as it gripped a half-full glass of gin. It was his third. Then he saw the look on Toby's face, the red eyes, the crushed posture. And beside him, little Alfie, laying where he'd been left and motionless. Paddy sat opposite him. For a long time, neither said a word. Then Toby spoke, voice like gravel.
He's gone, Pad. He's dead.
Paddy already knew. He didn't ask how. He could guess. His jaw clenched.
You like that when you got back?
Yeah, about an hour ago. Maybe less. He was cold when I found him.
Toby took a shaky breath.
We should have taken him to a doctor. I should have. I knew he weren't right.
Ivan, He was still here when we left.
Paddy said. His tone was flat, dangerous. Toby nodded but said nothing, just lowered his head.
I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Toby muttered after a while.
No.
Paddy said. It had dawned on him that Ivan had been out to fuck them all over. Toby's eyes flicked up, stung. Paddy looked at Toby.
I saw Mickey. I remember him now. He was one of the bastards who did Alfie. Him and a couple of others. One of the Slade brothers was with him tonight. Bastards.
Toby stared.
You sure?
I followed him. Black Swan.
Dan?
Paddy shook his head.
Shunters nabbed him, though, but give him his dues, Ivan stopped him from being finished.
Toby closed his eyes. He looked broken. Paddy stood and grabbed him by the collar, hauling him halfway out the chair. Paddy stared at the pathetic figure of Toby, feeling sorry for himself.
You need to sort your fucking self out. We got scores to settle.
Toby didn't respond. Paddy slammed him back into the seat.
You owe Alfie. We both do. So pull yourself together, or I swear to God I'll beat the balls off you myself before I go after them.
Toby looked up at him, glassy-eyed. And slowly, reluctantly, he nodded. Paddy stepped back, fists clenched.
Good, because from here on out, it's blood for blood.
What about Ivan?
Toby said as he straightened.
Fuck Ivan. He's as bad as the fucking rest of them.
Toby said nothing but gave Paddy a look.
Me and you have been close for years, Toby. That should mean something. We have always had each other's backs.
Toby nodded.
The reporter from the Star looked more than pleased with himself, like a man who'd stumbled into a headline. Sam and Morris flanked him eagerly, peppering him with questions.
What'll you put in? Will it run front page? Are you going to mention the anarchist angle?
The reporter only smiled, eyes twinkling behind wire-rimmed spectacles.
You'll have to wait and see,
he said coyly. Just then, a bruised but grinning Cozy appeared, wiping blood from his lip. He joined them on the corner of Burner Street. The reporter gave Coz a look over and whistled softly.
My word,
he said.
You should learn to pick your fights a little more carefully.
Cozy chuckled, his teeth pink with blood.
Was it worth it?
The reporter smiled, slow and satisfied.
More than enough.
That made all of them laugh. In the distance, the gas lamps burned through the fog, and the chaos of the night melted into opportunity. Tommy sat on the edge of the bed. It was late. Lucy lay behind him, facing the wall.
Everything go all right?
She asked, voice low. She couldn't sleep, though she didn't know why.
Yeah, quietish. I think Gabe was a bit pissed off he didn't go to the meet.
Tommy said nothing more, just took a drag from his cigarette.
Someone had to stay back, someone had to go.
Lucy stared into the darkness. After a moment,
why?
A favour?
She paused, knowing better than to ask. But she did anyway.
Who for?
Tommy turned and looked at her back.
Does it matter?
She shrugged, though he was already facing the wall again. Smoke drifting over his shoulder.
Not really,
she said.
How long we got to stay here?
Tommy stubbed out the cigarette on the wooden floor. She heard the faint flick of the dog end as he tossed it away. She hated when he did that, the casual disregard. But it wasn't worth mentioning. He lay back, hands behind his head.
Till the job's done. What difference does it make to you? Bar work's bar work.
Lucy didn't respond. Tommy smiled.
Anyway, I'm glad you're awake. I could do with some stress relief.
She didn't react. She knew what he meant. Part of her role now. The obedient wife. She wouldn't have minded so much if it wasn't always so one-sided. She turned and unbuttoned his trousers.
What's rat baiting got to do with work?
She asked, as his breath caught, and she felt him stiffen in her hand. He laughed, a rare sound from Tommy. She looked up at him.
What's funny?
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
He said.
The thought of sinking your teeth in the way a bull terrier sinks into a rat.
She shook her head, trying not to rise to it. He was goading her again.
Do I ever sink my teeth in?
She said flatly.
Have I ever?
Only because you know what would happen if you did.
She kept moving her hand, more to pacify than to please. De-escalation. It was second nature by now.
I asked because I just didn't see how a meet was connected to your work.
He closed his eyes, sinking into the sensation.
To see the scum,
he muttered.
To watch how they move. Tonight made everything a bit clearer.
As Lucy worked, Tommy's mind drifted. Not to her, but to the bloodied chaos of the pit, the paper's headlines. the flickers of rebellion he'd seen in Cozy's grin. He made a note, silently, coldly. The next step begins now.
The Crown Pub, upstairs. Joseph hunched over the ledger, the tip of his pencil scratching quietly through columns of inked numbers. The faint creak of the stairs broke his concentration. He paused, holding his breath. Nothing. He frowned, shook it off, and returned to the figures. The lamplight glinted on his glasses as he turned a page and opened the bottom drawer. A bundle of notes, crisp and thick, emerged with a satisfying thump onto the desk. He began to count, slow, methodical, humming softly. Then a voice spoke from the shadows.
Business is good then.
Joseph jolted back in his chair, the breath catching in his throat. His eyes darted to the far corner and widened.
Jesus Christ, Ivan, you scared the life out of me.
He tried to laugh. It came out too high, too brittle. Ivan stepped from the shadows, silent as smoke. He crossed the room with slow, deliberate purpose, then sat opposite Joseph, staring. Joseph swallowed hard and tried to recover his smile.
Been wondering where you got to. We've missed you.
Ivan said nothing. Joseph cleared his throat.
Heard you've been busy yourself.
A shrug, a flicker of something, amusement, disdain, in Ivan's dead eyes.
Bit of this, bit of that, you know how it is.
Joseph's nerves buzzed. He pressed on, trying to bridge the silence with small talk.
Could have done with you on the Vigilance Committee. Out every night looking for that maniac.
Ivan's face remained blank.
It doesn't interest me,
he said flatly.
Too many whores in Whitechapel anyway.
Joseph frowned.
There's a reward, you know.
At that, Ivan moved slowly toward the window behind the desk. Joseph turned in his seat, watching him warily.
Don't tell me money doesn't interest you,
he said.
That'd be hard to believe.
Ivan didn't respond. His hand slipped into his coat. A moment later, a long butcher's knife flashed in the low light. The blade was at Joseph's throat before he could draw breath.
On the contrary, old man,
Ivan murmured.
I've found there are easier ways to earn a living.
Joseph froze, trembling. Ivan plucked the wad of cash from the desk and tucked it into his coat. Then, with eerie calm, he switched the knife to his left hand and punched Joseph hard with the right. The older man toppled out of his chair, gasping. 3 sharp kicks followed. Quick, brutal, each one precise and targeted. Joseph groaned once, then went still. Ivan straightened, adjusted his coat, and slipped the knife back into the inside pocket. A smirk tugged at his lips.
Now that was very enjoyable.
Without another word, he slipped out of the room just as silently as he had arrived. The final sweep of the night had been completed. The Vigilance Committee, weary and quiet now, shook hands and muttered their goodbyes beneath the flickering gaslight. The cold crept deeper into their coats, and the streets of Whitechapel slumped further into silence. The church bell sounded the hour, 2 o'clock. Its echo rolled across the rooftops like a slow drumbeat. Outside the Crown, Abraham and Lusky paused at the corner. Sam yawned. The weariness of the night etched across his face like soot.
That's me done. I'm for bed,
he muttered. Lusky nodded.
Aye, not far behind you.
Abraham wandered off down the street, boots scuffing the cobbles as he made his way back to his lodgings. Lusky, rubbing his eyes, turned toward the side entrance of the Crown. He figured he'd check in on old Joseph before calling it a night. The stairs creaked beneath his weight as he climbed to the upper floor, the quietness inside making every sound seem louder than it ought to be. Joseph's door stood ajar.
Joe,
Lusky called gently, tapping on the frame. No reply. He hesitated, then pushed it open fully.
Joe, you still...
He stopped. Joseph was sprawled on the floor, blood smearing the boards beneath his head, and a twisted mess of ledgers and banknotes strewn across the desk. His spectacles were snapped, one lens cracked. Lusky's breath caught. For a moment he stood frozen, then turned and bellowed down the stairs with urgency sharpened by adrenaline.
Help! Someone, get up here. It's Joseph. He's down. Get help, now.
Heavy footsteps thundered on the stairs in response as the quiet night inside the Crown fractured. Upstairs at the Crown, Joseph lay motionless on the bed, head swathed in thick white bandages, chest rising and falling in shallow rhythm. The laudanum had knocked him out cold. He looked smaller now, shrunken by injury and age. Johnny Upright stood at the foot of the bed, arms crossed, while Walt, the visiting detective from H Division, listened as Lusky recounted how he'd found the old man.
Just lying there.
Lusky said quietly.
Blood everywhere, the drawer open, a bundle of notes gone.
Walt shifted his weight.
Any idea who might have done it?
Lusky shook his head.
Not till Joe wakes up, if he does.
Johnny frowned.
Not that bad, surely.
Lusky offered only a shrug. At that moment, the wooden staircase groaned, and Abraham appeared on the landing, breathless, coat half-buttoned.
What happened?
Lusky met him in the doorway.
We're not sure yet. He's sedated, took a real beating.
Abraham stepped inside, eyes darting to Joseph's still form. Walt eyed the newcomer and asked flatly,
You got any idea who could have done this?
Abraham hesitated. Lusky gave a subtle shake of his head. A warning. Abraham took it in.
No,
Abraham said.
But there is a group down Burner Street. Anarchists. They, don't exactly like us.
Walt's brow furrowed.
Why?
Before Abraham could answer, Johnny cut in, his tone knowing.
Is there much animosity between you lot?
It depends,
Lusky said carefully.
Depends on what?
Asked Walt. Lusky met his gaze.
Depends what you mean by you lot.
Walt gave a humorless nod, acknowledging the tension.
I'm aware some of our newer residents don't mix well with the constables. Still, law and order benefits everyone.
Lusky smiled thinly. Abraham muttered,
Different cultures, different customs, detective.
Terrific,
Walt said dryly. Johnny Upright watched it all, silent but watchful. He'd heard this kind of talk before, seen where it could lead.
You think it was the anarchists?
Walt pressed. Lusky and Abraham exchanged a look. Neither spoke, but the answer was clear enough. Walt didn't need confirmation.
International Workers' Men's Club, Burner Street.
Lusky nodded once.
We've had eyes on them,
Johnny added, his voice flat. Walt smiled without warmth.
Then this gives us a reason to dig deeper.
With that, the two detectives turned and made their way out, boots echoing down the stairs. Alone now, Abraham and Lusky stood in silence. Abraham raised his brows and rolled his eyes. Lusky exhaled slowly.
Trouble's coming,
he muttered.
You can feel it.
He paused.
Ivan?
What do you think? The bastard knows our routines and how Joseph works.
Moorish had escaped a custodial sentence from the magistrate and wearily clattered down the cobbles alley to the room him, Murph, and Rosie had been using. The door was ajar, and he pushed his way in, expecting Rosie to have a nice fire in the grate and Murph to be playing solitaire cards as usual. But as he entered, there was no fire in the grate. In fact, no Rosie and Murph wasn't at the table, but laying on the bed with a blood-stained bandage covering his stomach and side. There was no winning bull terrier either. Moorish scanned the scene and pulled out a chair from the table and sat down. What the hell has happened? Maybe Rosie was out working or looking for food, but surely the winnings from the rat baiting would have been enough to have sustained them for a while, unless it had been drunk away, or maybe Rosie had taken the dog for a walk. Murph was awake on the bed, but drowsy from the laudanum the doctor had given him. The doctor had treated the stab wound and administered the dressing and taken Murph's winnings and the dog as payment in return for not notifying the shunters. He could sense Moorish, but had not the energy to raise himself from the bed. Moorish, though curious, chose to let things drift. After an hour or so, in which Moorish had started a fire in the grate and made himself some toast from mouldy bread, Murph had become more aware.
When'd you get back?
He said without raising his head.
While ago. Where's Rosie?
Murph said nothing.
She taken the dog out?
Dog's gone, so is Rosie.
Murph said flatly. Moorish looked at the body on the bed.
What happened?
That headcase from Burner Street.
The one that did Bash?
Yes.
Murph said angrily, not wanting to hear Moorish spell it out.
Rosie?
Don't know, that bastard stabbed me and I haven't seen her since.
Well, she wouldn't have gone off with him, not Rosie.
Murph let out a snort of derisive laughter and moaned in pain as he clutched his side.
You don't know women very well.
He coughed.
You don't know that. You never were fair to her. She wouldn't have gone off with him.
Murph was silent for a moment as his pain eased just a little.
You don't know that, and then again. Who said she had a choice?
He said. Moorish looked at Murph and then at the door.
Do you want me to go and find her?
For the first time, Murph raised his head and looked at Moorish.
That's a fucking good idea.
Moorish nodded, put an extra log on the fire and made for the door.
I won't be long, anything you need.
Murph lay back still in pain.
Yes, Ivan's fucking head.
With that, Moorish was out into the hellscape of Whitechapel once again looking for the devil.
Abraham and Lusky stepped into the blind beggar, the low hum of muttered conversation and the clink of tankards welcoming them. The barmaid, wiping down glasses with a rag that had seen better days, glanced up as they approached. Lusky leaned in.
You seen Toby?
She nodded toward the back.
Out back, with Paddy.
Without another word, the two men made their way through the crowd, weaving between tables and nodding at familiar faces. They passed through the low arch and into the back room. There, in the sour stillness, sat Toby and Paddy. 2 untouched pints, 2 blank stares, one silence too loud not to notice. Lusky raised an eyebrow at Abraham, then tried to cut the tension with a crooked grin.
What's up with you two? Someone died?
But the joke dropped like a stone, because it wasn't a joke. Abraham's smile faded as the weight of the room settled in. Paddy didn't even blink. Toby just stared at his pint, eyes hollow. No one spoke. They didn't have to. The truth was already in the air. Paddy took a long, slow pull from his beer, wiped his mouth with the back of his hand, and set the glass back on the table with a dull thud.
Didn't expect to see you fine gentlemen down here,
he muttered, eyes fixed on the foam sliding down the inside of the glass. Lusky ignored the barb. He was used to Paddy's tone.
Either of you seen Ivan lately?
At that, Paddy and Toby exchanged a look. Quick, sharp, loaded.
That's funny,
Paddy said.
We were just thinking the same thing.
Abraham arched a brow.
I thought you boys and Ivan were thick as thieves these days.
Not with that scum.
Toby snapped, the bitterness cutting through his voice. His hands were shaking slightly around the rim of his pint, jaw clenched tight. Paddy leaned back, voice low.
Haven't seen him since the other night.
Lusky's gaze narrowed.
This about the brawl at the ratting pit?
Toby gave a hollow laugh.
No, something else.
Abraham glanced at Lusky, concern beginning to settle across his face.
You planning to tell us what you know?
Paddy downed the last of his pint.
Why? Are you looking for him too? Seems he likes upsetting people.
Toby finally looked up, eyes bloodshot and full of something between guilt and fury.
You get to him first. You ask him what he did to little Alfie.
Abraham could sense the unease.
You know Ivan as well as we do. He's a law unto himself. A loose cannon.
Paddy downed the rest of his drink.
About time someone sorted him out then, isn't it?
The silence that followed was heavy, only broken by the distant clink of tankards and the tired groan of the city beyond the pub's walls. The door crashed open, and Moorish stumbled in, breathless, arms full. Murph stirred on the bed with a groan, clutching his side as he struggled upright. Moorish dumped his haul on the table. 2 bruised apples, a sackcloth bundle with a couple of pig's trotters, half a loaf, 2 potatoes, and a couple of ginger beer bottles that clinked together. Murph eyed the offering and grunted.
That all you could get?
Moorish nodded, wiping his brow.
Had to lift it. Rosie not being around and all.
Murph cursed under his breath and fell back against the wall, eyes half-lidded. The effort of anger cost him too much now. Moorish watched him.
We need to do something.
I know.
And fast.
I fucking know.
Murph snapped, then winced, grabbing at his ribs again. His bandage was already spotted through with fresh blood. A beat.
We need to sell the gun.
Moorish said, voice lower.
Get some cash.
Fuck that.
You're not thinking of using it.
Moorish said, eyes widening. Murph turned to him, face pale and cracked with pain.
What if I am?
They'll send you to Newgate. You know that. Lock you up and throw away the key.
Murph gave a weak laugh, dry, bitter.
Who cares anymore? Does it even fucking matter?
Moorish stared at the wreck of a man before him. In that moment, he almost agreed.
Maybe not.
He murmured. Silence hung between them. Murph broke it with a mutter, staring at the cracked ceiling.
Everyone's got a hill they're willing to die on.
Moorish smirked.
Christ. I never had you pegged as an educated man, Murph.
Murph squinted.
Bollocks.
Moorish barked a laugh, shaking his head.
Never mind.
But inside, he was already wondering just how far Murph was willing to go, and whether he'd have to follow.
Tommy Slade sat hunched at the kitchen table in the back of the Black Swan, mopping up bacon grease with a thick slice of bread. The plate was already half clear, eggs demolished, rashers gone. He chewed noisily, eyes still bloodshot from the night before. Lucy watched him from the stove, arms folded.
You always wolf it down after a night on the lash,
she said dryly. Tommy looked up and fixed her with a cold, flat stare. For a second, she thought she'd overstepped. Then he broke into a grin.
I'm hungry,
he snorted.
Obviously,
she replied, scrubbing at a stubborn spot on the frying pan. Tommy finished the last bite and pushed the plate away with a clatter.
You seen Liz lately?
Lucy turned, plate in hand.
No, why?
I need a favour.
From her?
He shook his head.
From you.
She frowned, confused.
What sort of favour?
I want you to find Liz, quietly. Don't want Mickey catching wind.
Lucy raised an eyebrow.
Thought they'd had a Barney.
They did. She had a bit of a flirt. Mickey went mad. She stormed off. Thinks she's staying at one of the Doss houses on Flower and Dean.
Lucy shrugged.
So? Happens all the time.
I want you to talk to her. Find out about this man she saw at the meet.
She froze.
What man?
Geezer from the International Working Men's Club.
Lucy put the plate down slowly.
And what if Mickey finds out?
Tommy leaned back in his chair and smiled that smile, the one that never quite reached his eyes.
All hell will break loose.
He'll bloody kill her,
Lucy said bluntly.
Nah, of course he won't.
Tommy shook his head.
He'll probably kill the other geezer, though.
Tommy grinned.
I'll take care of Liz. Don't you worry.
The room suddenly felt colder. Lucy glanced at him, trying to read his face, but there was nothing but calm behind those eyes. She didn't like that one bit. What was Tommy up to?
The room was black. Rosie sat slumped in the corner, clothes soaked, head pounding, and a dull ache thudding in her stomach. What the fuck had happened? The door creaked open. Candlelight flickered against the walls, making her squint. She raised a hand to shield her eyes. In the doorway stood Ivan, shadowed, imposing, silent. Without a word, he crossed the floor and pulled her roughly to her feet. His grip was vice-like as he guided her through to the adjoining room. The light in there was dim, murky with smoke, but enough to make out the figures waiting. 3 men, feral, filthy, eyes sunken and hungry. Outsiders by the look of them, newly arrived, but already rotted at the edges. They looked at her like dogs might look at meat. Rosie froze. Ivan's voice was quiet, but it cut through the haze like a blade.
Time to earn your keep.
She turned to him, panic rising in her throat. He scared her more than Murph ever had, more than any of them, and right now she would have given anything for Murph to come bursting through the door. But the last she saw of him, he was bleeding out in the gutter, his body crumpled, his eyes wide and empty. She was alone.
Do I get paid?
She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Some show of defiance, some attempt at leverage. Ivan just laughed, a cold, joyless laugh. Behind him, the 3 men began to rise. Rosie's heart beat like a drum. Her legs wouldn't move. The door closed, and the light disappeared. Whitechapel, late afternoon. Rain again. The streets stank of coal smoke, piss, and hopelessness. Horses plodded through sludge. Ragged kids darted between carts. But Murph and Moorish moved through the morass as quickly as Murph could manage. He was pale, hollow-eyed, and limping, his side bound tight under his coat. Moorish kept a watchful eye, knowing Murph should be in bed. but knowing too that stopping him was pointless.
She's not dead.
Murph growled, almost to himself.
If he wanted her dead, he'd have left her in the alley.
Moorish nodded.
Then he's keeping her, which means she's close.
They started with Flower and Dean Street, sniffing for whispers in the gutter. Moorish had a contact in a doss house. Teddy No-Legs would know. He saw everything. A silver coin and a threat loosened his tongue.
Ain't seen the girl,
Teddy muttered, scratching his head.
But I seen Ivan, with some shifty types, taking him down Newcastle alleyway near the tannery. That's where the Ferals hole up now.
Murph's jaw clenched. The tannery, a rotten, stinking ruin on the edge of civilization. A place where even the beach hunters would only walk down in pairs. They moved. Back streets now, slick cobbles, rotten fences, crows picking at carcasses. Murph had stopped speaking. Every step jarred his stab wound, but he pressed on. Moorish carried a stolen poker in one hand, and Murph held the gun he'd got from Macca firmly in his pocket. They reached the tannery by dusk, a looming shape of broken brick, soot-stained and collapsing in on itself. A smell like death leaked from its core. They crept inside. Floorboards groaned. Somewhere a rat shrieked. Then a laugh, muffled, male, followed by a woman's voice, sharp, scared. Rosie. Murph froze. Moorish grabbed his arm, but Murph shook him off. He stormed ahead. They burst into a wide room, once a drying floor, now a makeshift hell, revealing the three feral men, Rosie and Ivan. Rosie's dress was torn. She was backed against a wall, blood at the corner of her mouth, a look in her eyes that had nothing left to give. Ivan turned slowly, saw Murph, smiled.
Well...
Murph didn't wait. Forgetting in the heat of rage that he had the gun, charged like a mad bull, roaring with everything he had. Moorish flanked him, swinging the poker. The three feral men scattered. Two went down in a blur of fists and iron. Ivan met Murph head-on. It was then Murph remembered he had the gun, but Ivan was too quick. They crashed into each other. Ivan was stronger, but Murph fought like a man with nothing left to lose. Moorish pulled Rosie away while the monsters clashed, teeth gritted, soaked in blood. Murph was losing, stabbed again, once, maybe twice. But he held on long enough for Moorish to leap in and try to smash the poker against Ivan's spine. But Ivan was too quick. Ivan roared, turned, his knife plunging into Moorish. Murph was now struggling, slumped on the floor, slipping in and out of consciousness. Rosie, distraught, saw Murph trying to pull something from his pocket. Rosie knew what it was and went to him and fumbled trying to get the gun out of his pocket, but she was not quick enough either. Ivan grabbed her by the hair and ushered her out of the building, leaving Murph and Moorish for dead. Murph slumped against the wall, coughing blood.
Backyard of the Crown Pub, dusk. The cobbles were slick with drizzle. Abraham and Lusky stood under the dim orange glow of the rear lantern, cloaks drawn tight, waiting. Joseph, now fully recovered but still pale, had asked them to hold off before starting their rounds. They didn't have to wait long. Macca arrived, flanked by Caleb and Harry. Nods were exchanged, brief greetings murmured. No one was here to chat. Abraham got straight to it. He strode over to two tarpaulin-covered shapes on the ground. With a grunt, he lifted the edge of one and let the pale face catch the light. Macca blinked, exchanged a quick glance with Harry.
Recognize him?
Abraham asked flatly. Macca gave a single nod. Abraham pulled a revolver from his coat, held it up.
What about this?
Macca looked it over.
Should do. I sold it to him.
Who was he?
Abraham peeled back the second tarpaulin. Moorish.
Low-rent hooligan,
Macca muttered.
Went by Murph. Tough lad, usually.
Abraham nodded again, satisfied, and let the tarp fall back with a soft thud.
You know who did it?
Harry spoke before Macca could.
Not many could take Murph down.
That was his trouble,
Macca added.
He thought no one could.
Caleb, still new enough to be rattled, frowned.
So why carry a gun if you're not going to use it?
Macca shrugged.
Pride or stupidity.
He turned to Abraham.
So you got any leads?
Abraham and Lusky shared a look, then a grin.
Oh yes,
Lusky said, almost too casually.
Found them like that near an old haunt, one of our past associates.
Macca's eyes narrowed. He didn't need long.
Big bastard? Built like a brick shithouse?
The committee men nodded.
Who else?
Lusky said with a grim smile.
Ivan the fucking bastard.
Caleb growled, venom in every word. The name still twisted something inside him, the memory of Pharaoh, his friend, never far from his mind. They all stood in silence for a moment, the rain picking up again, soft and persistent, like the inevitability of retribution. After a beat of silence, broken only by the soft hiss of rain, Macca spoke.
You gonna inform the shunters?
Abraham smiled, the corners of his mouth tight.
I don't think we need to trouble your hard-working constabulary. They've got enough on their hands these days, don't you think?
Macca gave him a long look and shook his head.
Not my constabulary. I'm like you lot. Some problems. Better handled in-house.
Lusky's tone was flat, eyes narrowing.
I'm not sure I like your inference, Macca.
Not trying to infer anything.
Macca replied evenly, though the glint in his eye said otherwise. The tension hung in the air a moment longer, old loyalties tested, boundaries drawn, but not crossed. Cold pleasantries were exchanged. The men turned, each group departing into the wet London night by separate paths, minds already calculating the next move.
Midday inside the Black Swan, a thin ray of autumn sunlight pushed its way through the grimy windows, slicing across the bar. The rest of the place remained in shadow, thick, stagnant air filled with the smell of smoke, beer, and something faintly sour. Lucy worked behind the bar, quietly polishing glasses and pretending not to watch Tommy. He sat alone at a corner table, motionless, a half-drunk whiskey in his hand. His eyes were fixed somewhere far beyond the walls of the pub, distant, lost, and cold. Lucy had seen that look before. It meant he was in one of his dark moods. When he got like that, there was no reaching him. She never tried to talk to him during those spells. It scared her, though she'd never say it aloud. Once, she'd almost mentioned it to Gabe, his brother, but she hadn't. Gabe wouldn't have believed her anyway. Unless you'd seen that darkness in Tommy firsthand, felt the chill that came off him when it took hold, you'd never believe it existed. The bar quietened for a moment. Lucy took the chance to move down, wiping a few tables with a damp cloth. When she got near him, she kept her eyes down, working carefully, but she could feel him watching her, or rather, knowing she was there. Then without looking up, Tommy spoke.
Did you see Liz?
Lucy froze, cloth in hand. She turned slightly towards him, surprised by the sudden break in silence.
Yes,
she said softly.
His name's Koza and...
She smiled faintly.
She seems quite enamoured.
The smile faded as quickly as it had come.
But don't tell Mickey, will you?
For the first time, Tommy looked up at her. His eyes met hers, and he smiled. A slow, unsettling smile that didn't reach his eyes.
And why would I do that?
He said quietly.
What do you take me for?
Lucy looked into his eyes as Tommy laughed. But there was something in the sound of it that made her blood run cold. It wasn't amusement. It was something else. Something darker. She turned away, returning to her place behind the bar. Tried to focus on the glasses. Tried not to think. But she couldn't help herself. Was Tommy actually mad? The thought came unbidden, and this time she couldn't quite shake it.
Long Liz had just finished her cleaning shift at the lodging house, a job she took when the drink ran dry or the punters got mean. Her hands were red and raw, her back ached, and all she wanted now was a gin to take the edge off. The 10 bells beckoned. A bit of warmth, a bit of chatter, maybe even a laugh, if the right faces were in. She stepped into the street, weaving past a horse and dray cart, head down, thinking only of that first drink. But then she saw him. Tommy. He was leaning against the wall like he'd been waiting. She knew that look, too casual to be casual. Her stomach turned. She tried to pretend she hadn't seen him, veering slightly to the side, but it was no use. He stepped out, blocking her path with that same sly calm that always made her skin crawl.
Hello, Liz.
She gave a cautious nod, kept her tone flat.
If you're here because of Mickey, I don't want to hear it.
Tommy shook his head slowly.
No, nothing to do with Mickey.
That didn't make her feel any better. A cold ripple ran through her chest.
What then? I'm just off to the 10 bells,
she said, already angling to step around him. He smiled. That grin never warm, never kind.
I want you to do me a little favor.
Her heart sank. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. The look in her eyes said it all. She was already in too deep. Tommy could see that Long Liz was a bit nervous of him, wary even. He liked that. He always liked it. The power it gave him. He watched her fidget with the hem of her shawl.
Good-looking geezer, that Coase bloke,
he said casually. Liz shrugged, avoiding his eyes.
Are you sure Mickey didn't send you?
Tommy smiled slowly, that wry, knowing grin that made people uneasy.
No.
He paused, then added,
I need someone to get a message to Coase down at Burner Street. Got a deal going down, and I need someone to pass the word.
Liz frowned, instantly suspicious.
Why don't you do it yourself?
I don't know him,
Tommy replied smoothly.
And he'd be too suspicious of me. I need someone he trusts, someone he's familiar with.
He grinned.
And I got the impression you and him got on very well.
Liz's shoulders stiffened.
I don't know him either, really,
she said flatly. Tommy's grin widened, almost teasing.
Wouldn't you like to liaise with him again?
Liz turned away, her eyes drifting down the street. The autumn air bit sharp, and she pulled her shawl tighter around her and shrugged.
I just need someone to make him an offer,
Tommy went on.
There's a tanner in it for you. And who knows, he might even be pleased to see you.
Liz finally looked back at him. His eyes were dark, unreadable. Was he mocking her?
I doubt it,
she said quietly. Tommy shrugged, unfazed.
What have you got to lose?
Liz hesitated, the wind tugging at her hair. Then she gave the smallest of shrugs.
A tanner,
she said. Tommy smiled, not warmly, not kindly, just that thin, dangerous smile of his.
Yes, a tanner.
When fire engines made an appearance in Whitechapel, they drew a crowd. But this one was unique in that it wasn't made of wood and metal, drawn by horses, or had a clanging bell. This one was a 45-year-old inebriated woman from Birmingham named Katie. As she did her best, pissed fire engine impression, running up and down the street, she still drew a sizable crowd. Earlier in the day, she had pawned her fella's boots to get a room for the night, but had not earned enough for a double bed. So she had told him to take the money, and she would go south of the river to find her daughter to borrow some, but she had lied. Katie had no idea where her daughter or even her ex-husband lived, so when an old mate offered to stand her a drink in the Horn of Plenty, it was too good an offer to turn down. And now, with no money and no bed for the night, and the drink taking its toll, 2 young shunters from the City of London had declared that maybe it was time she sobered up, specifically in a police cell for the night.
In the hidden alcove, deep in the shadows, stood a figure. He looked, smelled, listened. The urge was too powerful now. The danger, meaningless. Through alleyways, passages, narrow courts, and fetid thoroughfares, he moved like a shadow, a lion on the hunt, a ghost in the city's filth. His thirst clawed at him from within, a gnawing, savage need that drowned out reason, fear, everything. He needed it, and nothing would stop him. Adrenalized by pure, naked lust.
Tommy found Mickey brooding in the back room of the Black Swan. Lucy was at the stove, boiling a kettle. The smell of damp coal and burnt bread hung heavy in the air. Tommy gave her a look and a slight nod toward the door. Lucy frowned, uncertain. Tommy's expression hardened. Enough said. Without a word, she picked up the kettle and slipped back into the bar. Tommy took the chair opposite Mickey. The younger man was hunched over the table, staring into his glass.
Seen Liz lately?
Tommy asked casually. Mickey looked up, his eyes dull but wary.
Why would I want to see that bitch?
Thought you'd have patched things up by now.
Mickey gave a small shrug, masking the sting. Tommy leaned back.
Don't think she's shacked up with that Coase bloke, do you?
Mickey scowled.
Couldn't care if she was.
Tommy let the silence hang a beat, then said, almost idly,
I did hear she was off down Burner Street tonight. That club of his. The one with all them foreign firebrands.
Mickey's head snapped up. He stared at Tommy, jaw tight, eyes flaring with something close to rage. Tommy smirked inwardly. He did care. He cared a lot. And Tommy could see it, see that old fuse burning down behind Mickey's eyes. Mickey had never been one for self-control when anger took hold. Good. That was exactly what Tommy was counting on. His benefactors wanted the anarchists dealt with. All Tommy had to do was point Mickey in the right direction and let nature and temper take its course.
Long Liz made her way down Burner Street alone. The night was overcast, the air heavy, and the dim glow of the gas lamps barely reached the puddled cobbles. Shadows pooled thick in the doorways and alleys, stretching like stains along the walls. She wasn't entirely sure what Tommy was up to. Truth be told, she didn't trust him much, but there'd been something in the way he'd asked, something that made her feel as if saying no might be worse than saying yes. And besides, she'd liked Coase. He'd had an energy about him, a kind of warmth and quick humor she rarely saw in Whitechapel, kind eyes, a smile that actually seemed to mean something. For a while she'd felt energized around him, as if the world weren't quite so hard-edged and mean. She'd brushed those thoughts aside soon enough, of course. In the moment, those type of interactions, when a genuine connection was made, gave her drab existence less misery and a fleeting fervor. And that faint echo of connection lingered, and maybe that's why she'd agreed to do Tommy's favor. Like he'd said, what did she have to lose? The International Working Men's Club stood halfway down the street, the faint murmur of voices and accordion music leaking from its windows. Liz hesitated at the door, uncertain whether she should even go in. She wasn't sure what kind of place it was. Half the talk she'd heard about it made it sound like a den for revolutionaries. Half made it sound like a refuge for the poor. Inside, the air was thick with tobacco smoke and chatter. Men and women sat shoulder to shoulder at wooden tables, drinking, arguing in languages she didn't understand. The mix of Polish, Yiddish and Russian made her feel even more out of place. She could sense a few eyes on her as she hovered by the door. For a moment she considered turning back. Then a young man approached her, kind-faced, maybe 20 at most.
Are you all right, miss?
He asked in a soft accent. Liz nodded quickly.
I'm looking for Coase,
she said. The young man smiled.
Ah, Cozy. He is working tonight, I think, but he should be down later.
Liz returned the smile, though it was thin and uncertain.
Thank you.
Now what, she thought. The room felt too close, too foreign. She didn't like being the odd one out. Didn't like the eyes that followed her as she made her way back toward the door. She decided to wait outside, see if she could catch Coase before he came in. The air outside was damp and chill. A faint drizzle had begun to fall, pattering against the flagstones. Liz pulled her shawl tighter, found a spot near the entrance where she could watch the street, and waited, alone beneath the weak yellow glow of the gaslight.
His breathing was heavy. His blood was up. He didn't feel the chill of the night air or the fatigue of walking the streets. The endorphins and adrenaline were pumping, his mind taken over by lust, hunger, and a thirst he felt compelled to quench. He watched, waited, felt his heart race. He moved, searching, ready, expectant, and prepared. His self-control, his humanity, was a distant memory right now. His single-minded quest was all that mattered.
Liz stood at the edge of Dutfield's yard, one foot in the shadows, the other in the pale glow cast by the street lamp behind her. She looked small and worn in the dim light, hunched against the damp eyes hollow, nerves rubbed raw. Mickey found her there, shoulders hunched, trying to light a cigarette with shaking hands.
What the fuck are you doing?
He said, his voice sharp, soaked in spite. Liz didn't turn.
Minding my own fucking business.
Mickey stepped closer, boots loud on the cobbles.
Are you taking the piss?
No,
she said, exhaling smoke.
I'm done. I've had a fucking enough.
That was enough to send him off.
Don't give me that,
he barked, grabbing her by the arm and spinning her to face him.
You down for a bit of anarchist cock, hey? Coase? Yeah?
Liz ripped her arm free, fire in her eyes.
Why don't you just fuck off, Mickey?
That stung. Mickey's nostrils flared, his fists curled tight.
You little...
Before she could move, he shoved her hard. Liz stumbled back, falling to the cobbles with a grunt of pain. From across the street, a passerby, a hunched man in a rain-worn coat, stopped for just a moment, taking in the scene. Mickey turned, eyes like knives. The old man hesitated, then scurried away, head down, not wanting any part of it. Liz stayed down, blood at the corner of her mouth, eyes defiant even through the tears.
You bastard!
She yelled.
And you always will be!
From deeper in the shadows near the yard, Tommy had seen it all. He made no move to intervene, just watched, waited, and smiled to himself. Mickey, rage still boiling, stepped over Liz and, having been seen, panicked and decided to leave before the shunters turned into the street. Time to go. Tommy drifted away. He never looked back. Liz got back to her feet, wiped her face and waited. Cozy must be in the club and she waited. She still wanted her money, needed the money she was promised, but deep inside she was so tired. A deep knot in her stomach.
As Dimmy rolled his pony and trap slowly down Burner Street, the tired sway of the cart echoed the ache in his bones. It had been a long day at the market down Crystal Palace Way, selling jewelry, bartering for better prices, fending off thieves and rain alike. He was knackered. A quiet beer at the club would do him nicely before bed, so long as his missus wasn't too far gone on the gin again. She got too much when she drank, especially if he was late. As he turned into Dutfield's yard, the pony reared and snorted, hooves clattering on the slick cobbles.
Oi! What's wrong with you?
Dimmy barked, pulling the reins and hopping down from the seat. He struck a match with a practiced flick, shielding it from the drizzle with his hand. The flickering light danced over the entrance to the yard and froze. Blood, a dark pool glistening on the ground, a shape, a figure, a woman. Dimmy's stomach turned, his breath caught in his throat.
What the fuck?